Welcome to the Mr. Futurist podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and now your host, Dave Holt.
Welcome to Mr. Futurist. Might sound a little under the weather right now. I've had a cold for a couple days, but I wanted to get this podcast out. I think it's a really good one. This is in response to a video on YouTube that I'll have a link to below, or if you're looking at this on the website, I'll actually have it embedded and you can watch it. Please watch this video. It's only 12 minutes and 50 seconds long. It's called Shocking Evidence That Nobody's Talking About, and it is really shocking. You're going to, trust me, this will blow you away, and I'm going to talk about why right now. Basically what the video is talking about is the fact that all of us are being tracked every single day with everything that we do. To give you an example of this, I was just recently on a friend of mine's podcast. And what I did for the podcast was I went to his social media site and I used a bot and I ran a psychological profile of him off of his social media channel. He was amazed because it was so right on. Right before I came on the show, he asked me, he has a co-host, he asked me to do a psychological profile off of his co-host's social media site, which I did. And then he didn't even know about this, and then he read it during the show, and he was just shocked because it was exactly describing him as well. And that was just off one social media site, but imagine a bot that now goes to all of your social media sites. It reads all of your posts, all of your responses, all of your texts, all of your emails. It looks at everything you do on the internet, what you look at, how long you're there, what you're visiting, what you're reading, what you're looking at, what you're pulling up, everything. And the interesting thing in this video is that only 14% of people in the United States actually realize that they're being tracked, and that all of their movements, their buying habits, what they're doing online is actually being tracked. A lot of what this is talking about is something that's called predictive analytics, predictive modeling. And what predictive modeling and analytics is that all of this data that is taken is then looked at and scrutinized through. Machines are doing this as well, not even human beings. And then what it does is it does feed back human beings, and this is where people come in. What happens is this data that comes through actually forms what's called predictive models and predictive analytics. And this is a lot of what advertising companies and different companies out there pay millions of dollars to get, because what this is saying is that this is what people are buying, this is where they're buying it, this is a time that they're making their purchases, this is what they're looking at, this is what they're watching. And not only your internet, but everything you're watching on television, movie-wise, is being tracked as well. So everything you're doing is being tracked. I love what is said on this video about that every powerful tool has a dark side. And on Mr. Futurist, I like to look at both sides. I like to look at the positive aspects of things as well as the negative aspects of things, because everything has those. And this video does a great job, even as short as it is, of getting to something called pre-crime or predictive policing, similar to the movie Minority Report with Tom Cruise, if you've seen that. And basically what it's doing is predicting areas where there will be a crime, and even people that might be predicting those crimes somewhere in the future. Now, I don't think this is such a bad idea that people that are convicted serial criminals, that they're actually tracked and their whereabouts are tracked and what they're doing, because at some point the odds are they're probably going to commit another crime similar to crimes they've committed in the past. And if that can be predicted, then that can also be prevented. I mean, if we can prevent a crime from happening, especially a violent crime against another person, why not do that? Now, I'm not saying that we should just go and arrest that person and say, well, you had an intent to do something before you did it. No, that's not what this is all about anyways. But it is all about being in the right place at the right time to maybe prevent something from happening, because we know that the likelihood of something happening by certain individuals is highly likely. So I don't have a problem with that. I mean, let me know what you think about that. But again, it does stretch to taking away someone's rights, but the fact is, too, is, people have rights as well. They have a right to be able to go out and to do whatever they need to do without being the victims of crime as well. So let me know what you think about that. It's an interesting idea. The other thing that they were talking about is the automated world that we live in, and how much that we don't even realize that a lot of the decisions that are being made in this world are automated, that are being made basically by machines. That a majority of the high dollar trading on the stock market, especially the world stock markets, is being done by a machine, and a lot of analytical stuff where companies are doing predictive analysis are being created by machines as well. So sometimes there is a human being making a decision, but that decision is based upon that analytical data that the machine is actually connecting to. Another thing, though, that was really interesting, and I'm going to find a video about this and post it down below as well and embed it in the website, was I didn't realize this, I don't think a lot of people did, but during the election last year, presidential election, Donald Trump, probably Hillary Clinton did it as well, but they talked about Donald Trump, and I didn't have a horse in the race anyway, so I don't really care, but the fact is that they said that Donald Trump had purchased into a company and was basically using this company to do predictive modeling and analytics across the country. That's why when he was in the Arizona, California, Texas area, he was talking about illegal immigration, building a wall, and started keying on things like that. When he was in places where there's mining, he was talking about mining. And basically what the company was doing is they were running these predictive analytics and reports about what people were talking about off their online accounts in all these different cities and states across the U.S. So he had this information before he even went there. I mean, he was on his plane sitting there going over, this is exactly what you need to talk about. These are the things, the bullet points that you need to hit, because in that particular city and in that state, this is what people are, this is what's important to people. This is what people are online, and this is what people are talking about online. What's amazing about that is because, I'm not going to get into the whole politician thing, but is the politician saying something because they really believe it and they're really going to do something? Or is the politician simply telling us what they think that we want to hear based upon information that they have collected? And I think that's happening a lot. I think a lot of politicians in the past have been using this to tell people exactly what they think they want to hear or what they know they want to hear from this analytical data. But the fact is, we know that then they don't really do anything once they say they are, but that's politics, and I'm not going to get into that. Like I said, I didn't have a horse in the race, so I didn't want to discuss that. I just thought it was interesting that politics is really getting into using that, because we could have a politician out there who could be saying all the right things, hitting all the right buttons, and say, wow, this person's great. They know exactly where everyone's coming from. This is someone who represents the people. When in fact, that's not the case. What's actually happening is they're doing predictive modeling from machines that are looking at everyone's data, and they're telling us what we believe. This has been going on for a long time. I mean, every time you go to the store, if you go in the grocery store, you use a card, you buy your groceries, or you go to a store, they give you this discount card, and they tell you how much money you save, and you go, great, I saved some money, and you walk out. But what you don't think about is they're tracking everything that you just bought. Somebody knows that what books you're buying online, what stuff you're buying online, what's shipped to your house, what you're buying in the store, how much of it, how much you paid for it, what time of day you bought it. Combine that with what you're talking about online, what websites you're going to, what you're watching on your television, what you're watching on the internet. They know everything about you. And that information is used. And a lot of you probably have seen this information, popping up here and there. So I would definitely watch this video. It's not long, worth a watch. I think you'll find it fascinating, and then I'll put that other political video down below, and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot, and thanks for joining me.
We appreciate your support for Mr. Futurist and hope you enjoyed our show. We can really use your support, so please visit the website and spread the word. Be sure to tune in for our next Mr. Futurist podcast, coming soon.